Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Thoughts at Three, another online live assembly coming to you from Southampton City Mission. For those of you who've watched before, you will know that we are an independent Christian charity that serves the church in Southampton as the church serves the city. And normally, myself and Ellie and the rest of our schools team would be in schools right now doing question of faith days, doing assemblies, and so on. But because of the lockdown, we are not able to do that. And so we have been broadcasting these live online sessions, as well as producing home learning packs to schools as well. And this is our last one for this week. So if you're not out enjoying the lovely, beautiful sunshine today and you're watching us, thank you so much. Hello to you if you're watching live. If you are, then please say in the comments your first name and what school you know us from. Or if you don't go to school, then just say hello. It's always nice to say hello or just get a hello from you so that we know who is watching with us. And ask your questions. If you've got a question about stones, don't forget our topic today is about stones. You can see my pile of stones there behind me. Or you have other questions, any other questions at all about Christianity, then please pop those into the comments there and we will do our best later on to answer those questions. Ellie is going to be with me later on answering questions, but I'm going to explain to you first of all a little bit about our topic for today, which is stones as a symbol. Now, this might seem like a strange topic to be doing. We yesterday were talking about change, and that's kind of an understandable thing. I showed you some butterflies. We're going to release them into the sunshine later on. We've talked a lot about Jesus and about God and about the Bible and so on. But why would we be talking about stones? It's kind of an odd topic to be talking about. But actually, we do a day in school called Stones as a Symbol. And there are lots of different symbols or things that can be used as symbols, and stones are one of them. And actually, in the Old Testament, people use stones a lot. Actually, they set up piles of stones, which look like these ones here. And I've got a picture, actually, I can show you up close. Piles of stones that look like that, as what they called Ebenezers, or the word literally means stones of help. And they would set up these piles of stones, maybe small ones or big ones, in places where they had encountered God. And they could be places of prophetic encounter. On one occasion, Jacob, who was the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, he had a vision one night, a dream of angels descending from heaven and ascending to heaven. And when he got up in the morning, he'd used a stone as his pillow. He decided to build an Ebenezer, a gathering of stones, a stacking of stones, if you like. I don't know what the collective term for stones is, to help remember that place where he had that vision. They could be also, or they were also used for places of miracles. So in the Bible, there's a story of the people of Israel crossing the River Jordan to go into the Promised Land. And the story says that as they walked into the river parted so that they were able to cross through into the Promised Land. And then afterwards, the people of Israel, each tribe, those 12 tribes that had descended from Jacob's son, set up stone Ebenezers to remember the miracle that God had done there. And they were also used to remember places where they were in battle and got defeated, or they had victory. So it didn't matter whether they won or lost, they still remembered those occasions, maybe learnt lessons from them, and also places where they mourned as well. They also used stones as altars in the Old Testament to sacrifice things to God, so that they could be forgiven. And we don't do that anymore as Christians because we believe that Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. But there's a story of Abraham building a stone altar to sacrifice his son. And then Elijah went up against the prophets of Baal to see whose God was the best and who could light the sacrificial offering on their altar on fire. And the prophets of Baal called down fire, but nothing happened. And Elijah jokes and said, "Oh, maybe your God's gone on holiday." And then he poured water all over the stones, all over the offering, all over the wood, and then asked God to send fire. And the stones and the offering and the wood just lit up on fire, and everyone saw how amazing God was, or at least Elijah's God was, and started to worship him instead of their gods. And then in the New Testament, we hear about how the church should be a temple of living stones. the idea that actually we used to build with stones, our first initial buildings in a lot of the UK. If you look at the old castles and churches and houses and walls are built up of stones. One of the letters to the early church tells them to be like a building made up of living stones. And stones are in our life too, as well. I don't know what you like to do with stones, but when I go to the beach, if it's a pebbly beach, I always like to get some stones and skip them across the water. We had some friends that visited us from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, a couple of months back, and we took them down to the beach and did some pebble skimming or some stone skimming with them. We also, or I used to like enjoying a game called what we called Stones, which is where you had to stack one stone on top of the other in turn in a group. We invented this game at university, me and my friends. And the person who lost was the person who couldn't stack their stone on, and all the others came falling down. And actually, in more modern times, recently, there's been lots of people painting stones and hiding them out in the countryside. One of the schools that I regularly go into in the city centre, Fremantle Academy, they have this bowl of stones in their prayer area, actually in their reflection area. Those stones help them there to remember the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and so on. And as a church, actually, one of the things that we did with our church once was that we at the West End Carnival had a stone painting or stone drawing stand where we got lots of different people to draw on the stones and then go and take them back to where they were from and hide them. One even went all the way back to Wales. I think it was the B one. And then when we go into schools and do our stones as a symbol day, the children create story stones. You can see here, this story stone is the story that I just talked about the prophets of Baal versus Elijah, and how there was water on the altar, but God still set the altar on fire. And so these stones can be used as ways to help us remember things. My story stone that I created looks like this. And it's a story about a person called Jesus. There he is, who once encountered a woman who was being stoned, or was about to be stoned, because she'd done something wrong. The people had stones in their hands ready to throw at her, because the law said that what she'd done meant she had to die. Jesus bent down and wrote something in Hebrew, that's my pretend Hebrew there, in the sand. And then one by one, all of the people who were about to throw stones at her walked away. And Jesus said to the woman, "Who is there left to stone you? Is there anyone left?" And the woman said, "No, they've all gone." And he said, "Then I can condemn you. I do not condemn you either. Go and sin no more." And so he showed her love where others had showed her judgment. So that kind of story stone has helped me to remember that story. It's just a simple stone with pictures that I've drawn stuck onto it. We might come back to that later on when we speak to Ellie. So that's some of the ways that stones are used as a symbol for helping us to remember different things. I'm going to invite Ellie to join us now, and she's going to help to answer some of the questions. Hello, Ellie.
Hello, good afternoon.
How are you doing today, Ellie?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm hoping that we won't have any technical difficulties.
That would be great. That would be great. You're looking good so far. We can hear you nice and clear. So we're going to go into some of the questions about stones, Ellie. Rebecca is on the stream and she said hello. It's lovely to see you, Rebecca. If you're also watching online and you would like to say hello, or you'd like to ask us a question, please do so in the comments. But our first question is for you, Ellie. Why use stones as a symbol? Like, out of all of the things that you could pick to remember a place or a person or a special event, why use stones? Can you answer that?
I can try. I think that's a really good question. And I think the answer is to do with what a stone is like. It is a rock hard item that will last for millions of years. And that permanentness about it is something which is really special. You know, stones are solid. They're not going to disappear. They are a firm foundation. We heard about that in the two builders stories we told a few weeks ago, how the stone is the better surface to build our lives on or build our houses on. And in fact, I even heard a story about how Jewish people, they like to put stones on graves. Instead of flowers, which although are pretty, wilt and die, stones are a symbol of things that last forever and how we can remember people that have died even after they've left this earth.
That's a great answer. Fantastic. Thank you very much. There's that permanence and that weight to it. Really good. So our second frequently asked question, which we often get asked on these days, is, are any of the stone memorials of the people of Israel still there? Because these stories go back 3,000, 4,000 years. So are they still there? And actually, I did a bit of research on Wikipedia earlier. So this is from Wikipedia. If you trust it, great. If not, sorry. But they say that the term Gilgal, which was the structure where they would have described an area on the eastern border of Jericho, these Gilgal structures are only found in the Jordan River Valley. This is the river that the Israelites crossed as they went into the Promised Land. And actually, structures have been found there in recent times, and the pottery discoveries date them to the early Israelite period. So that's 1,200 years or so before Jesus was born. And they are located on the lower slopes of a hill, and actually they have a footprint outline. And they were thought to have used for not a permanent dwelling place, but an occasional place where the Hebrews would have, the Jewish people would have gone and worshipped God, had festivals together, celebrated holidays together, until worship was centralized in the temple in Jerusalem. And the footprint shaped outline recalls an ancient Egyptian symbolism in which footprints symbolized ownership. And so the thought is that they did this to say, this is now our land. And there are 12 footprint shaped stone memorials to represent each one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And yeah, they've been discovered there, thousands of years later. So that's pretty extraordinary. So hopefully that answers that question. We still haven't got any more questions coming in on the feed. So now's your last chance to add that question up whilst Ellie is answering this final question that we frequently get asked. So please, if you have a question about stones or stones as a symbol, put them up on the feed now. Ellie, the third question that we frequently get asked is, do you have any memorial stones, any stones you use to remember something?
Absolutely. So I've actually got two answers for this. The first one is that I have done some stone painting as well. I've not done a whole story like your story stones, but I know that my church like to take part in stone painting, and we hide them around the village in Waltham Chase. And I know the whole community gets involved at finding a little picture, could be a butterfly or a snowman, and it kind of is something to keep and then hide for somebody else. But I do also have my own special rock here, which I particularly like because I think it looks like a dinosaur.
Oh, hold it up to the camera. Let's have a look.
See the kind of dinosaur shape there? Whatever that dinosaur with the long neck is, I think.
It's a diplodocus, I think, pronounce it.
Well, this stone is a memory stone for me because it reminds me of the time my husband and I went to the beach. Now, the beach is quite near where I live now, and when we moved here and I realised we could go to the beach just in the car in 10 minutes, that was exciting for me because where I grew up, you had to drive at least an hour to get to the beach. But we just went one evening for a nice walk along the beach, and I thought, this is amazing that I can do this now that I live near the coast, and I wanted to keep a stone to remember that day.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. I think we've actually got a stone that looks like it's a heart. It's in a heart shape. I think Charlie picked that up on a beach once. And those painted stones you were talking about that your church do, actually, I'm a member of a couple of different Facebook groups which regularly go out and hide or find painted stones in the local area. I think I'm a member of one in Bournemouth and a UK one, and I think there might be a Southampton one as well. But I would really love to start a City Mission Schools painted stones type group. So if you'd be interested in that, helping us to hide stones, then get in touch via the email, or you can write in the comments. And I think actually we're talking about possibly doing our next craft special about stones, aren't we, Ellie? Which is that next Wednesday, the next craft special?
Oh, I think it's definitely next week, maybe Friday. But I love that idea for our next craft special.
Okay, good. So that's next week at some point. But why don't you tell us about the assembly that's coming up next week that you'll be leading on Monday, Ellie?
Yes, absolutely. So tomorrow is the bank holiday, so we will not be here. So our next Thoughts at 3 is on Monday, and it is all about stories. Now, we've talked a bit about stories before. We've looked at some of the parables, stories that Jesus told. But on Monday, I'm going to be talking about one story in particular, which is all to do with treasure hunting.
Nice.
I am tempted to get my pirate costume out, especially.
Yeah, you should do it. I think you should do it. If you think Ellie should wear her pirate costume on Monday for the assembly on Monday, for Thoughts at 3 Monday, then say in the comments, say, yes, Ellie, we definitely want to see you in your pirate costume. How many do we need? How many people do we need for you to wear it, Ellie? Should we say 10 people?
Oh, 10. Oh, okay, that's might be optimistic.
Maybe 5?
Okay, 5
Okay.
people, and I will wear my pirate costume.
Okay, fantastic. So if you think Ellie should wear a pirate costume, put that in the comments and she'll do that on Monday. Talking about treasure, that links to the idea we've talking about today about hiding stones that help us to remember something, or finding stones that help us to remember something. So I'm going to say a prayer just to finish our assembly together this afternoon. Stay on the line, Ellie. You can say amen, and then we'll say goodbye together after this. If you would like to join in with the prayer, then you can say amen at the end, which simply means I agree. If you don't want to agree, say nothing and you will be fine. Take a moment though to think maybe about the things in your life that you want to remember, and ways in which you could hold on to those memories that might last for the rest of your life. Let's just take a moment just to think about that. Dear God, thank you for our amazingly complex and wonderful brains, which give us the ability to remember or to forget the different things that have happened in our lives. Please help us to move forward with strong memories of the good times. And although we forget the bad times, may we learn how to live better from them. May we be reminders of your love and goodness to those around us, those living stones of the temple of God, through the thoughts that we think, the words that we say, and the actions that we take. If you would like to agree, you can say amen.
Amen.
Now, just apologies if there was any noise in the background while I was praying there. We just had our Asda delivery. Other supermarkets are available, but we just had our regular Asda delivery. So we've got food to eat tonight, which is great. And our next assembly, as Ellie said, is not tomorrow because it is the bank holiday, but it is Monday, 11th of May at 3 p.m, led by Ellie on Stories. So we hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I just want to say hello to Paul, who's watching us from Life Church. Say hello to Becky, who is there as well. Becky has actually given us an ooh-ah kind of pirate shout out there. Let's see how many people we've got. We've got one. We've got Jordan saying, got to be a pirate. We've got Lucy saying, you've got my vote. We've got Teresa saying, be a pirate. And we've got Charlie as well. That's 4 people. So maybe we can have one more person who would like Ellie to be a pirate, and then she'll be able to do that next week. We hope you have a fantastic bank holiday weekend, guys, and we will see you on Monday. You want to say goodbye, Ellie?
I would say see you on Monday. Fabulous weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.